Today I figured I would share my November TBR with you. This one is significantly shorter than my October TBR. One, because October might have been a bit ambitious, and two, there are a few vlogs that or at least one vlog, maybe two vlogs, that I have planned that I don't know what I'll be reading. I'm super excited for those, so I decided I would just do a smaller TBR for this month. So let me get into the TBR. I'm gonna start with 3 that were on my October TBR that I just didn't end up reading. So I'm just gonna do these like really rapid fire since they are on that video. So first is We Solve Murders by Richard Osman. I'm still super excited to read this one. I just didn't get around to it and I'm super sad about that. But this month, definitely I will be reading this book. It's murder mystery and it's Richard Osman and it has a cat on the cover. I'm sorry, this is probably, of all the books I have on my TBR for this month, this is probably the one that I would say is probably going to be a 5-star read because I'm just super excited to read a new Richard Osman. So, super excited about this one. Apologies if the lighting or camera angle changed. I got interrupted, but back to the TBR. So, the second book is Wisteria by Adalyn Grace. So it's the 3rd book in the Belladonna trilogy by Adalyn Grace, and I'm just super interested to see where this series ends. So I definitely do want to read this one finally this month. It's been like on 3 consecutive TBRs for me, so this is finally the month I'm gonna read it. And then the 3rd book that is a holdover from last month is A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Brigid, Kemmerer. This is the 2nd book in the, I think, Cursebreakers trilogy, I think is what it's called. It's basically a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I really enjoyed the 1st book, but I have heard some mixed things about the 2nd and 3rd, so I am interested to see what I think, but I cannot promise what my opinion will be, but I am very interested to see where this series goes, because, I mean, almost I think it could have been a standalone, but I'm hoping the rest of the series will wow me. We'll see. So now to the rest of the books, which have not been on any previous TBRs. So the next one is Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. This is his newest release. I want to say it got released this summer. So I think it's basically our main character, his best friend went missing when they were kids, and so he's returning to his hometown, and like some weird things are happening, like possibly paranormal to do with his best friend who has been presumed dead for a very long time. And so I think it's just him unraveling like the mystery of what happened to his friend all those years ago. So I think it's gonna be interesting. Riley Sager's books to me are just like fun. Like as much as a thriller can be fun, you know what I mean. They're just like edge of your seat, will keep you very entertained. So I'm very interested to see where this book goes. I really enjoyed his release last year, which was the only one left. So I haven't really heard much about this book since it came out, but I'm very excited to see what I think. So let's see, the next book I have is, this one was just released like 3 days ago. It's the Bletchley Riddle by Ruta, sepetys, and Steve Sheinkin. So I absolutely love Ruta Sepetys' books. So this is her newest release. It's also, well, she's co-wrote it, so, but yeah. It's also the first middle grade book that she's written, and so I'm very excited to read this book. All I really know is it's about Bletchley Park in World War II, which if you don't know is like the code breakers who were trying to decipher the codes that the Germans had through the Enigma machine. I've read multiple books that are set like around Bletchley Park, and they're always super interesting. So I'm very excited about this book because it is partially written by Ruta Sepetys, and I've never read anything by Steve Sheinkin. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. But I'm very interested because, I mean, anyone who writes a book with Ruta Sepetys I'm probably going to love. So this book also is probably going to get 5 stars for me if I had to guess, because it's World War II and Ruta Sepetys. I'm going to love it. So anyway, that is that book. So the next book is a classic. It is Wuthering by Emily Bronte, and I have had this book probably close to a year, and I still have not read it. I honestly don't even know the plot, but does that really matter? No. All I know is it's gothic and it's written by a Bronte sister. I read Jane Eyre last year and I really enjoyed it, so I think I am going to enjoy Wuthering Heights. It's just, classics can be a bit daunting, I find, but this is the month. This feels like a very good November book with gothic vibes and all that. So this is the month I'm finally going to read Wuthering Heights. Don't hold me to that though, because it might not be, but hopefully it will be. Alright, so the next book is I'm Not Done With You Yet by Jessie Q. Sutanto. If you have not read any of Jessie Q. Sutanto's mysteries and thrillers, they're really good, and I definitely recommend you picking them up. This one, when did it come out? Okay, so it came out last year, I guess. I have not read this one. It came out last year. So this is, I've read her adult like mysteries, the Dial A for Auntie series, but I've never read like a thriller, and I'm really not sure about the plot. It sounds like possibly like a murder might have happened. There's like a stalker situation. Now, I really am not sure, but it's Jessie Q. Sutanto, so it's gonna be amazing because all of her books are so good. So yeah, it's really all I know. It's like, it has to do with like a couple of writers, and it's like something happened in their past, and it's like one of them like disappeared or something until she came back and had a book on the New York Times bestseller, and then the other main character's like stalking her maybe. I'm not entirely sure. I'll find out when I read it. I am so bad about like actually knowing the plots of books before I read them or buy them. It's bad. But yeah, that's really all I know. But yeah, so I'm very excited. I feel like I say that about every single book, don't I? I need to find new words. But yeah, I always love a Jessie Q. Sutanto, and it's been a minute since I've read one by her, so yeah, this is definitely a priority on the TBR. So the next book is the Sittaford mystery by Agatha Christie. So this is one, like, I call them like her standalones where it's not following one of like her major detectives, and personally I always like those. So from what I understand, this one is like a seance is happening at this remote house, and they get a message that someone is dead, but that man's house is like miles away through a snowstorm. So I guess it's just like the characters trekking to get there, and probably murders happen. That's all I know. But I mean, does it not sound like November, like December, like wintry vibes? Like the snowstorm, the seance, the like closed circle, isolated. It's like a very vague description, honestly. So I promise you, this one I've actually read the description and like the plot summary, synopsis, whatever. And honestly, I don't know a lot, but I love Agatha Christie, and especially like these type of her books, like where it's not, like I love Miss Marple and Poirot, but those are usually not my absolute favorites. Like these kind are my favorites of hers. And so this one has definitely been, well, all of her books have been on my TBR, the ones I haven't read for a very long time. But this one especially I've been very interested in. So super excited to read this. I might wait until like closer to the end of the month, like near December, when hopefully we're getting some colder weather by then. But yeah, so this is my Agatha Christie. I would like to like start reading an Agatha Christie every month. So this is the one for this month. And so the last book that I have with me, I've got a few others that I might read that I'll talk about in just a minute, but the last book that I actually have a copy of is The Mysterious Case of the Alperton Angels. That is a long title, and I feel like I always butcher it, by Janice Hallett. So this one, like I said, how many times do I need to say this that I don't really do plot summaries? Anyway, I'm gonna do my best. So this one, basically from what I understand, it's like some people like disappeared from a cult, and then like it's years later, so it's basically like a missing persons mystery with like this weird creepy background, and then this whole book is mixed media. So this one I would say is definitely the most like out there of Janice Hallett's books, but I'm going to give it a try. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this. I feel like I'm either going to really hate it or really love it. I love the mixed media aspects about her books, and so this one, it's like it has multiple forms of mixed media, because I love the appeal by her. That one was all emails, and then the Twyford Code was like all audio, like transcribed audio recordings. I do want to reread the Twyford Code eventually because I don't remember a lot, but the appeal was absolutely wonderful, I thought. So this, I think, is like her newest release in the US. I think there's like a delay between her books releasing in the UK and the US, but this is the one that has come out most recently here. And so I'm very interested to see where this book goes because like I said, I could either love it or I could hate it, but I think it's going to be very interesting. And I feel like you don't see a lot of like missing persons mysteries, which I feel like can be very interesting because you don't know like the outcome. So yeah, this one, I feel like I'm either going to give it 1 star or 5 stars, and I can't wait to read it, honestly. It's going to be a wild ride, I feel like, and hopefully I enjoy it. So yeah, those are all the books that I have. Like I said, it's a very short TBR. I do have the audiobooks for a couple of books. One is, and I'll put pictures of the covers somewhere on the screen, you'll see them. One of them is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, and from what I know, it's like a mystery that centers around like a true crime podcast, and I want to say there might be like some mixed media elements about that. I have the audiobook on Libby, and this book has been on my TBR like since last year when it got like really big, but the thing that sealed it for me that I wanted to read it right away is apparently one of the narrators is Louise Brealey. There are a lot of narrators because I think part of it's like full cast maybe, but one of the narrators is Louise Brealey, who, if you don't know, she played Molly Hooper on Sherlock, which is one of my all-time favorite TV shows. So when I found out that she was one of the narrators, I was like, I have to read this or listen to this book immediately. So that is on my November TBR as well. And then the other audiobook that I have is The Surrogate Mother by Freida McFadden. Honestly, lately I have not been loving Freida McFadden's books like I have been, because it's like they're very fast-paced, they're very shocking, but like honestly, as I've read more of her books, they start to feel the same. You know, like the Housemaid series is probably my favorite of hers, but like a lot of her books have started to feel like very similar to each other. So this one I really don't even know what it's about, but I've had this hold for months, and I am going to listen to this audiobook definitely because I don't want to have to wait like 6 more months for this hold. So it's going to be definitely interesting to see what I think about this book, because this might be like one of her earlier ones, or maybe not, it was from 2022. I don't know how she releases so many books in a year, probably because they are very similar. Like I said, her books are not literature, they're just like a fun time. So yeah, I think that is all of the books on my November TBR. Like I said, there are some vlogs where I don't know what I'll be reading, so there are definitely more books I will be reading, hopefully, if I can, in November, and then there are a few books I would like to reread if I can get to them. So yeah, this is probably a shorter video, but if you watched it, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope I will see you in the next video.